Welcome to episode number 306 of Destination Linux. Destination Linux is a video podcast brought to you from the TuxDigital Network. If you're new to the show, Destination Linux is a podcast perfect for all experience levels. Whether you're brand new to open source or a guru of sudo, this is the podcast for you. My name is Ryan.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Jill.
On this week's episode of Destination Linux, we're going to discuss our predictions like oracles for 2020. Is 2023 already? Oh my gosh, what has happened? We're going to talk about our hopes and dreams as well for the coming year. It's very exciting because you can hold all of us accountable, but not for a whole year. You have to wait a whole year after our predictions to hold us
That's why
accountable.
last year we didn't do a prediction episode, so we don't have to worry about it this time.
This year, we're back on the burners. You can fire us if we get them all wrong. You can't really fire us. What are you going to do? Then we discuss Xfce 4.18. Michael is finally going to admit, probably one of his predictions, that Xfce is better than KDE. So wait for that segment. It's going to happen because 4.18 is going to rock your socks. Plus, we have our tips, tricks, and software picks. All of this coming up right now on Destination Linux. This week's feedback comes from Greg, and if you want to send in your own feedback, go to tuxdigital.com/contact to get in touch and send us an email, or you can join our forum and talk to everyone in the community right there. And we also have Discord, so if you want to hang out, game with the community, chat about Linux, go to tuxdigital.com/discord to sign up. Now, Greg goes on to challenge Michael, which makes me happy because if you remember last week, I got challenged, but they do it in a much nicer way than how I was challenged, but it's still, I saw Michael challenged. I'm like, I'm throwing this in there. So Michael, the gauntlet's been thrown. The line in the sand has been drawn. Let me read this comment and see if you can deal with what Greg is about to bring to you. On Destination Linux number 299, Michael's weak, okay, he didn't say weak. Michael's argument for Ubuntu Pro made sense. Right up until it was revealed that Ubuntu Pro isn't really a public service announcement. It's, you ready, Michael? It's an upsell.
Oh,
I don't want my operating system throwing advertisements in my face. The free 5-machine teaser is ridiculously insufficient. So I think it's very interesting that he mentioned that it's an upsell.
Yeah.
When I think about what Ubuntu was doing there, it wasn't just like a, hey, we've got this extra service to give you some extra patches and things. It is an opportunity for them, obviously, to make people aware of it and to upsell them on this product because not everybody's just a standard user. And I haven't seen this message in a long time, but either way, Michael, what are your thoughts on this? How are you going to deal with Greg's gauntlet that he's thrown down and smacked across your face?
I think this was a very fun and insightful comment, so I'm not really bothered by it at all. So this upsell thing is correct. That is what they're doing. You're getting something for free, and then you can purchase to get more. And I don't have a problem with that ultimately. So if someone has a free service and they make it where you can have multiple instances and you pay a little bit for after a certain tier, I don't have a problem with that. That's a valid mechanism or method of revenue. And there's other ways to do it, like very similar. So as a marketing person, I'm not bothered by upselling, but I will agree that the 5 machines is insufficient because you can go to other companies like Red Hat that give you 16, and that's more than enough. Like we would run into the 5-machine issue, but I doubt we would ever hit the 16 issue. So that is a much more user-friendly amount than the 5. So I will agree with that. But I'm also not bothered by the upsell. And I don't think it's that big of an ad because it's not in your face. It's a little piece of text when you're using a terminal. And most people are not really using the terminal all that much these days. It's like half and half.
It's blinding, Michael. The advertisement in the CLI is just like, I have to shield my eyes and then...
Yes, exactly. It's painful.
Horrific, yes.
It is quite long.
Yeah. Now, Jill, you had a problem with this, as I recall, mostly because it was in the terminal itself. Like, the terminal is a place where upselling shouldn't happen. So you don't have an issue with Ubuntu providing a message during install or something else saying, hey, we have this. Your issue really was where they put this advertisement or upsell or whatever we want to call it.
Yeah, the place that's always free from advertisements is the terminal, and we'd like it keep it that way.
I kind of agree with what Jill's saying there. Like
Sure.
Having an upsell is not a problem for me either. I think that it's, first of all, a good product that they have there. It's a product they're providing you for free. You're getting this operating system. Many, if not most, of the people don't even contribute an ounce to it. So the fact that you can go in there and just have to look at a simple upsell message somewhere is not really that bothersome. Now, if it was like Net Zero or something where you've got a banner in the side of the corner telling you Amazon and go here, yes, this would be a big difference. But this is a product that relates to the product you're using. It provides some legitimate options for your system to get more updates and security patches and things like that. So it to me, this isn't the issue. But I agree with Jill. They should never put it in the terminal. I haven't seen it in the terminal. I've been using Ubuntu since Michael went on his Ubuntu trip, and I actually have never seen the message since
here.
that first time we talked about it. And so I don't think it's something they're continuing to repeat. But I also agree with both of you that 5 is completely inefficient. I have 5 computers sitting on my desk. Jill probably has 5 computers sitting in a corner of her desk.
That little area.
So
I believe it.
It's really not enough machines, I think, to make it a valid offering for most. But there you go. That's our take on it. So I guess, Greg, next time write an angrier email so Michael gets more upset.
I mean, that's probably not the best thing you should request people to do when we're sending us feedback.
Why?
Well,
I don't understand.
We want all our as much as possible to be fun and insightful, rather than
yes, fun and insightful. My bad.
Positivity.
Fine.
So, but I do think it's worth noting that I understand, like, the last time we talked about this, Jill said it was like the terminal is sacred.
Yeah.
And I understand that perspective, but at the same time, it's not that invasive to me. It only activates when you're doing a particular command for updating your system, and the ad is about updating your system automatically. So it's not even just relevant to the system. It's also relevant to what you're doing. So it's not that invasive. But I do understand it can be annoying to some anyway.
Well, somebody who uses Windows, it doesn't bother you, but us who use the terminal in Linux, it bothers us.
What are you talking? You're literally.
So anyways.
You literally admitted last episode that you're the one that is doing the dual boot.
You know what I
Windows.
do love, though, is DigitalOcean. Get
nice
started
transition
on DigitalOcean
there, buddy.
by going to do.co/Tux2022. You want to tell us more about that, Michael?
No, you might as well keep going, buddy.
Well, cloud computing can be, let's say, complex, but standing up reliable, affordable cloud infrastructure really doesn't have to be. And we have thanks to DigitalOcean, that you can set up an awesome cloud platform really quickly and easily. At DigitalOcean, you can enjoy a comprehensive portfolio of compute, storage, database, and networking products to put your cloud infrastructure in capable hands so you and your teams can get back to doing what matters most. You know what that is, Michael? Building world-changing apps. Instead of arguing about who was doing what and what operating system, let's do some world-changing apps for once by going to DigitalOcean. Plus, at DigitalOcean, you get support at every stage of growth, from teams of 1 to teams of 1,000. With DigitalOcean, you could grow with their simple, powerful cloud computing. In fact, you can get started on DigitalOcean for free. Do you know that? Absolutely free.
Oh, really?
That's zero. Free is nothing, as in $0 right there. But we're going to step it up one better, because
I'm glad you explained what free meant.
$100 60-day credit. I don't do this ad read, Michael. I'm doing my best. $60.
That's why when you just started the transition, I'm like, no, you keep going, buddy.
I know.
If you go to do.co/TUX2022, so that's Tux2022. Thank you to DigitalOcean for sponsoring this episode of Destination Linux. So this week, I'm very excited because we didn't do predictions last year. Maybe it was just too dreary of a year to do predictions.
I think that is why we did it. Yeah.
There's nothing good that was going to come on predictions that year. But this year, we're bringing it back. 2023 is going to be amazing. Jill told me so. I'm going to hold her to it. We're going to talk about our dreams for open source. Now, the key part is that you, the community, have to keep us honest. At the end of the year, you got to remember the predictions that each of us made and see who is the true open source oracle of the group here. Is it Michael, Jill, or Ryan? So let's begin with our predictions here. Now, before anybody else gets a chance at this prediction, I'm stealing this right off the bat.
Okay.
This to me is an easy one that eventually, like a broken clock, will become true at some point. It's kind of like the equivalent to the year of the Linux desktop. Ubuntu's going to go public. They're going to do a public IPO. It's happening in 2023. It's going to be a bajillion-dollar stock. It's going to be bigger than Tesla, Apple, all of them. That's not part of my prediction. But part of my prediction is that they're going to do an IPO this year.
So if you say that it's going to be like a thing that's going to happen like at some point eventually, are you predicting that next year, if it doesn't happen, you're going to predict it again?
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, I got to be right?
Okay.
Maybe?
Yeah.
So, so in a way, you're also predicting your prediction. So at least half of your prediction will be right in that.
Yeah. Next year, I could
kind of cheating.
This
I like
part
it,
of the show because it's like, we already know what Ryan's going with. It's the IPO thing. Yeah.
All right, perfect. I think it's an interesting prediction. I do think that it's at some point they are going to do it. It's almost inevitable. But you have is it going to be a good thing? You compared it to Tesla and Apple and stuff. Will it be good for the company? Is that where are you saying it's just going to happen and you don't know? Like, I think that the real question that you should be asking is, will Canonical be better or worse for doing it?
It's something that's actually been on my mind a lot because there was a point when Ubuntu was kind of the pioneer of the desktop space, I would say. They were the innovators. They were kind of pushing everything on desktop
for sure.
forward.
Yeah.
That I was scared about the IPO thing because I thought, well, they're going to push them all into the cloud and server stuff almost 100%. Any of the desktop stuff will go away. Well, Ubuntu did that without ever doing an IPO. I mean, I feel I've said it on the show before and people disagree, but I feel like Ubuntu's completely went away from the desktop, even though they disagree that they have. And because of that, it's like, what's the risk here at this point, besides the fact that I think they'll have some injection of money, some funds that they could do some really cool stuff with, potentially in partnerships there. I mean, this is a tough thing. Sometimes companies get this type of injection and have people sitting on the board that push companies in the complete wrong direction. And other times, this is the cash that they need to really innovate and compete. So it just depends on the people at the top, whether they can keep the course clear for what they're wanting to get to when they do become an IPO and have a sudden injection of money. Can they actually be able to balance the feedback that's coming from the investors versus what's the best for the community as well?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Also, because they've had so much opportunity for people like requesting them to go public. There has been, in the back end, there's probably a lot of companies that want to invest, and they've restrained themselves from doing it because they felt it wasn't the time for their company to do that. So I think that I'd be really comfortable if they did go public, because it means that they are confident that their company would be able to take on those kinds of investors. And like you're talking about, trying to like make things change, and they'd be able to, handle that sort of situation. And I also, as a person who's like super into stocks and very intelligent on this particular topic, but based, I'm just going to have to admit that I won't be able to tell you like how good it will be or whatever, because this will probably be a UK based stock, and all my experiences with the US stock. Right.
See.
So I can't.
Okay.
He's such vast experience in investing, but only in the US.
Yeah. Well, to me, this makes a lot of sense for Canonical because of their push in cloud and AI. I mean, they want to do what IBM and Red Hat is doing. I mean, that's very clear. So
it
makes
I agree.
sense.
Yeah, and also I do think that it's good that they're bringing back the desktop efforts that recently for the past year or so.
Yeah,
and
really
they're putting a lot
focusing.
more dedication into the gaming side of things as well. So I think that there's a lot of potential for it. So if it does happen, it'll probably be a good thing.
Yep. So speaking of an area that was really meant for Ubuntu, I feel like all up until they lost focus on the desktop, and that is your prediction, Jill, has something to do with a very popular device out there that ended up being Arch, in case anyone was wondering.
Yes. So yes, the Steam
really?
Deck being sold in retail stores. I just see that's a vision that Valve has
I love
for the future, and I think it's going to happen this year. Especially since they are actually working on the Steam machines again. And
really?
this time, with the success of the Steam Deck, I think they will do that right as well. They're trying to get more hardware partners again, like Razer and Asus and HP and Dell, to work on Steam machines. It's been interesting following that news feed. So,
I could see this absolutely happening. You're talking about an industry that has absolutely crashed. The computer sales are completely in the tank. These companies have nothing that consumers are wanting to buy right now, which will go into something we'll talk about later. But if you look at all the sales predictions and all of this stuff, like it's of what they were expected to sell this year, a lot of them are 30 to 50% lower than what they expected. So they have all of this inventory. So they're looking for something. And I think the Steam Deck could be an interesting something for them, or Steam machines, interesting something for them to get into to try to get that consumer's attention again. Because it's even happened to me as a hardware addict and somebody who always has the latest tech. I've gotten so fed up with machines and dealing with this video card issue and crisis. I do most of my gaming on a console now. And to me, that says a lot. And I think most people are there. So if you have something as attractive as a Steam Deck or a Steam machine in which you've got a PC, but you also get this gaming console kind of built in without all the fuss of dealing with an operating system like Windows 11, it might be something for Dell and others to look at for sure.
Yeah. No, really, really good point, Ryan. And I was thinking also, because we have the Steam Deck, which is, is supposed to be console, but with, PC integration. And I think Valve seriously does want to make, set-top boxes for the TV for Steam machines, because kind of that's an area that they didn't do well in and they failed in. So
I think this is an interesting prediction also because the Steam Deck was such a huge success that it is likely that they are going to be doing something along the lines of the Steam machine. And because the Steam machine's first iteration was so bad that they learned their lesson and made the Steam Deck and they pivoted so hard, so well that I think that there's a lot of potential that the next time they do Steam machines, it'll be a success.
Yeah, because they partnered with software companies and hardware, and that's what they needed, to bring it all together. And also with regards to the Steam machine, because the Steam Deck, a lot of people are using it on their TVs, hooking up to their TVs for their entertainment boxes.
Sure.
So
that'd be a good way of doing it, kind of
sense.
like battling the NVIDIA Shield or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Also, I have my first prediction is going to be relative to the Steam Decks, the Steam OS that Ryan mentioned is Arch based. We're going to get to that in a second.
Arch?
So my first prediction is going to have a little bit of a positive spin and kind of a negative spin, but let me explain it. So SteamOS 3 will finally be released to be used outside of the Steam Deck. That is what I'm going to be saying for 2023. This will result in a lot of people trying out SteamOS as their daily driver and then be disappointed because they realize that it was made for a specific device and not meant for general purpose daily driver.
So negative. You know what?
That's what my
I'm
expectations
not celebrating
are.
the new year with you.
Ryan called Michael a negative Nancy when he's really
He is a negative
negative Michael.
No,
I'm teasing.
This is just what I'm expecting because it's Arch based. Because people are expecting it to be they're expecting because the Steam Deck is so good.
Send your emails, Michael.
Because the Steam Deck is so good, they're expecting that the operating system that is powering it will automatically make it their computer be as good, even though it was specifically made for like an appliance style. And I think that's why it's going to backfire, because once they start using it and realize it was not made for a general purpose computer, then people are going to be disappointed by that. But I do think that the OS is fantastic. So someone who wants to take it and make their own console with it, then it'd be fantastic. But if they're trying to do it as a daily driver for anything, that is where it'd probably have a little bit of disappointment.
It would work great as a daily driver. Work fantastic as a daily driver.
As long as the software you want to use are exclusively for Flatpak, yes, then it's fine. If you want anything else,
most things are these days.
Not yet. Someday. I have an expectation for that one too. But anyway.
Most everything in my machine is a Flatpak nowadays. Well, I have a more important prediction than Michael's. Way more important, way more interesting.
Okay.
I predict AI and automation Michael AI. I'm not biased, but that'd be one to check out on the GitHub page there. Is going to start to take over more industries and more of our day-to-day lives. Shopping, food orders will all move to near zero staff, if not no staff at all, and more automation completely. For instance, McDonald's is already trialing a fully automated McDonald's that people are going through the drive-through. You place your order, the robots go make your food, and the automation, they have a bag that opens up and, you grab your bag and you're off. And so I think a lot of these jobs, especially where they've had a really hard time getting people to work for very low pay and in horrible working conditions, it's a shocker, will be replaced with automation and robotics and things like that. Also, if you think about Amazon, they've been trialing this for a while where they have stores that you just put items in your cart and walk out when you're done. There is no cashier. There is no checkout process. It's all handled through automation on your phone, and what you're putting into your cart automatically scans and it checks out and charges your credit card when you leave. But I also think AI is going to change the way we surf the web forever. I've been playing with ChatGPT, and the more that I utilize this tool, which is one of the most advanced AIs that the general population can get their hands on, the more I realize that it's way better than Google search or any search engine for that matter. And in fact, a lot of the things that it's doing is a search, but it's a search with the ability to continue to add more and more and more details in. So for instance, I can ask it a question about something going on, like what's my favorite podcast? Naturally, it's going to come back with Destination Linux, or what is the best Linux podcast out there? It's going to come back with Destination Linux. But then I can start asking additional questions in there. Who are the hosts? What are the hosts like? Things like that it starts building more and more.
Why does Ryan use Windows and pretend he doesn't?
And then it would tell you, Michael's the one who uses Windows. You're incorrect. So
it would not.
That's the amazing things that ChatGPT can do. And I started realizing, like, this AI isn't necessarily ready for what some people were predicting to take over all the programmers' jobs and all of that. But it's certainly ready to take over Google. And an interesting follow-up to that is that I read an article from internal Google staff that they had declared a red alert about ChatGPT within the company, what they call Code Red, because of the danger this represents to Google's browsing market. So Google also apparently, according to that article anyways, understands that this is something that could absolutely change the way we surf the web entirely.
So I think that's a very interesting prediction, and I think there's a lot of validity to what you're saying. But I will have to point out that a lot of the times it gives you information, it is not correct. Some of it is, and it is surprisingly how, like, it's incredibly surprising how accurate it is. However, almost always there's something in there that it shows as if it's real, but it isn't. So there's been people who were doing testing for like camera reviews saying that this has a feature that it doesn't have, or people, because it's just pulling information from articles, and those articles can be wrong. So it's only going to have information that it is provided to the system through its searches, which is still very cool because, Google is doing the same thing.
I was going to say, how is that any different than a browser? Like, you go there, you're going to get articles, they're going to tell you stuff that's wrong, and
The problem is that people are looking at this just chat bot as the information it's giving you is 100% correct or whatever. And that's the only thing I feel like that might be a backfire to it. But I do think that it is an interesting prediction, and I do think that this is a very cool piece of software, and I'm pretty sure IBM is behind making it.
Yeah,
and
Watson.
Yeah, so it's like it like powers Watson and stuff. So it is very interesting overall. And I have a follow-up prediction for your AI prediction that Michael AI will be forked and superseded by Michael GPT.
There we go.
Oh.
So this means it won't fit on a floppy disk anymore?
I hope not. I hope not.
The power of Michael GPT. It would be scary. My goodness. I think you just challenged the community to fork my Michael AI project and make a Michael GPT and improve it. I think that's awesome. By the way, I did get a code patch request for your Michael AI just this week, Michael. It is still actively in development from the community. So I know
That's
you'd
fantastic.
be happy to hear that.
I am glad that
you will live forever.
Project is still a thing.
Yes.
For some reason.
Well, I have another prediction. I think more Rust development in the Linux kernel and in Linux apps in general is definitely coming.
Oh yeah. I think Linus himself even said that it's probably going to.
You know what I just realized, Michael? Jill's kind of taken the strategic approach of making sure everything she says already has some.
It's going to happen. Yeah.
So she can win.
Her predictions are very likely.
She's trying to win the war, not the battle here.
I see.
Yeah.
And we're coming up with stuff that we don't really know, but we're going off the out of left
Jill's
field.
Jill's here to win the game. She's going to win. I like it. I definitely have seen the popularity of Rust, grow not only in the fact of people talking about utilizing it in Linux kernel and things like that, but just the amount of interest in people wanting to learn it. And I think that's really exciting. What was I looking? Oh, an IDE the other day I was looking at, and someone said, check out this new IDE in development. I don't recall its name, but it was being developed fully in Rust and things. So there's just a lot of stuff that seems like people were getting involved in there. So very safe, but good prediction there, Jill. I'm on to you.
So my next prediction is actually not that safe. It kind of is a little bit because it has already got a lot of momentum. But I'm making a prediction that in 2023, Flatpaks are going to become the universal format. It's going to be undeniable that Flatpaks are going to be used by most users and most developers to publish in 2023. Now, that's the part that makes it a strong prediction is the fact that it's going to be the go-to choice. It's already kind of like the front runner anyway, but I think
universal package formats, you mean?
Yes, because Flatpaks and Snaps are neck and neck right now. But I think that in 2023, Flatpak will become the go-to clear choice.
Okay, so you think Snaps are going to be second then in popularity?
I think
or is it App Image? Is App Image going to come up out last minute out of the race? They're going to come across the side, past Snaps, and App Image becomes
right around the corner.
Yeah, it's like a NASCAR race. I couldn't really describe it because I don't watch that stuff, but in my mind, I was watching the NASCAR.
It's really easy. Yeah. It's really easy to make a reference about making a NASCAR race. Is that they're making a left turn?
Okay,
and
they go left and then go left and then go left again and go left.
Exactly.
So Snaps will be a second. Is that part of your prediction?
I think Snaps and App Images are going to be still fighting for the second place. I'm not going to make a prediction of which one is going to be second place because then it would make, if the Flatpak prediction is true, you'll try to make it as a loophole of making me wrong anyway.
I like how everyone's getting real strategic on this. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, after Jill started showed her
we
hand
had to up our game.
Yeah, I'm trying to protect my predictions is what I'm doing.
I think you're absolutely correct because we have distros like Pop! OS now that are using Flatpak in their software center instead of Snaps.
Yeah.
And a lot of the distros are moving to that. So I think you're right there.
But you have Ubuntu with the Snap store.
Yeah.
And they're really pushing Snaps. And Ubuntu obviously is still the most popular Linux desktop environment out there.
Absolutely.
So just from that alone, Snaps could be the winner here. Michael will be wrong, and I will gain a point.
Yeah, because Snaps are hugely popular in
wrong.
Cloud and AI. So.
I just don't get a point. You don't just automatically get a point. That's not how
you didn't read
competitions
the rules.
work.
They're in really small writing at the end of the document.
But the truth is, both of you, the truth is that App Images wins because it was the original and it was the first.
The first doesn't always make it the best, though. That's the thing. And I would actually personally put App Images at the low of the three. Yeah, because it has no security mechanism. It has no ability to update unless you go manually download stuff. If they were to fix these, if they were to fix these problems, then it would be fine. But until they fix it.
And there are third-party software repositories for App Images, but not an official one. So.
Right. They don't have a central location like the FlatHub does. So the fact that there's these issues, I just think that
Flatpak's definitely a front runner there, but I do think it's cool you called out app images were first. So let's talk about our dreams for 2023. There's so many dreams, Michael. So many dreams.
So many dreams.
So many dreams. It can be anything, no matter how outrageous and ridiculous. These are the things we would like to snap into existence. See what I did there, Michael? The snaps and
That's the opposite of what Thanos did.
Yeah.
Well,
no, he didn't.
He made everyone disappear, not snap into existence.
He could make people appear with a snap too if he wanted to.
He could have, I suppose. There was plenty of options that didn't have to go that way because, we should talk about Thanos' decision. He had other options. He could have made more resources instead of getting rid of people. Just think about it.
I'm sure the Marvel writers have thought about all the different angles. It was such a tightly woven story that I think you're wrong there. All right, so let's talk about my first prediction.
He brought up Thanos, not me. Just to be clear.
2022 was a depressing year for me from a laptop standpoint, PC laptop specifically. Every laptop I would get had something that was just a major disappointment for me. And so I'm going to just read off here real quick. Hardware addicts, you need to be part of that podcast and listen to that because that's where I get into detail on a lot of the stuff Michael, me, and Wendy do. But, having front-firing speakers, a glass trackpad, a metal frame, a backlit keyboard, a high-quality 4K OLED screen, 16-plus hour battery life. These things exist out there by this company that's named after a fruit. Linux by default, that's not the company by the fruit, but I want that in a laptop. Lots of ports, privacy slider.
Also not from the fruit company. The
privacy slider built into the webcam, privacy switches, a great keyboard, lightweight and thin. Those are the things, just the very basics that all the PC manufacturers, developers that listen to this show that you need to check, and then you could beat the fruit. You could beat the fruit if you're able to check those things. But every laptop I get, they put the speakers on the bottom and they fire into your lap because who knows why.
It's kind of hilarious that all the stuff that these companies copy from the fruit company are the terrible decisions that the fruit company makes, not the good ones.
Always. They're like, you know what? Let's keep the speakers firing into the lap. Let's put a 1920 by 1080 terrible color reproduction screen in there. But
let's add a notch.
let's add a notch and solder in the hard drive and RAM like Apple. Like that's the stuff they take away. They're like, that's genius. It's so smart. So an actually good PC laptop that comes with Linux by default would be a dream. By the way, the price, which is the most important part of all of this, has to be that sub $1,100. That's one of the big kickers here because there are PCs that you can get that are pretty close to a lot of this that are $2,600 or plus out there, $2,200. But that Fruit Company's one is about $999 starting out. So, you need to be competitive out there with that.
That's something that we've been wanting for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you put that specification of the price. It has to get this, because people would automatically say, oh, Razer has these sorts of things, but they're also $3,000. And if we could get a reasonable price, but I also think it's kind of hilarious that now we're at a stage where these laptops where the $1,100 or sub that is what the goal, the end point is to be, while the phones are okay to be much more expensive.
It's true.
Yeah, you're right, Michael. Actually, good.
Less hardware, more money.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. And speaking of which, I'm thinking about getting a new phone, which will probably cost that much money.
Yeah. Well, for now, just stick to those Lenovo ThinkPads.
Yes, those are very expensive.
Yes,
though. Very expensive.
Especially the new ones, the developer mode or whatever.
They are, yeah.
Those are really nice though. So if we can get those under 1,100, then that'd be amazing.
Oh, we have the HP and Pop OS 2 partnership, and
yes, that's true.
1920 by 1080 screen.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Otherwise, that laptop was perfect.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So one of my hopes and dreams is not only having the Steam Deck and Steam machines in the stores, but desktops and laptops available in retail stores with Linux pre-installed.
Yeah.
I like it.
This would have saved me, Jill, when we went to Scale and I was looking for a laptop and I could not get anything that worked with Linux and there was nothing that came with Linux, I would love to have walked into a Micro Center or Best Buy or Walmart and walked out with a machine that came pre-installed with Linux. That would have been dope.
Yes.
Yeah. And we know they're capable of it. They did it back with the Asus EPC.
Yeah. I mean, they've done it many times. A lot of companies have done it. And I think this is a reasonable hope and dream. I think it's possible, especially with like HP partnering with System 76 and already wanting to do this sort of thing. And also Lenovo doing it with having Fedora out of the box and the framework having that as an option. I think there are laptops that are becoming practical. See, even Jill's hopes and dreams are likely to happen.
Yeah.
She's very smart. She's very smart, Michael. She's outwitted us.
We just played this game terribly.
Yes.
Well, even Lenovo and HP, you can order laptops of Linux pre-installed, and most of the hardware vendors now have Linux pre-installed. Why not just put a few in Best Buy and call it for the developers?
None of the other PCs are selling anyways.
Is that?
So you might as well.
Exactly.
The only body selling any PCs is Apple. So you see all these other stations and there's nobody. If you walked into a Best Buy, it fascinates me. I don't know if it's everybody's area. This is just my experience. But when I walk in, the whole Apple section, people are crowded around. And then there's this Windows 11 PC that has the Dell, HP, and Lenovo all broken out. And then Chromebooks. And that whole section's empty. The only people that cross into that section are people who cross to get to the Apple section.
Yeah.
It fascinates me. Like, nobody's over there looking at that stuff.
I'm also wondering why they're in Best Buy to go to Apple products when they could just go to the Apple store.
Yeah, well, there's not a lot of Apple stores around me, so
well, okay, that's fair.
Oh.
All right, Michael, what's your next hope and dream?
So this is another example of me playing this game poorly because I chose to have a hope and dream that I don't expect to ever happen. And that is that media production software companies, as we do media production on Linux, will realize that Linux is an awesome platform and start supporting it properly. And I'm talking about like Adobe, for example, which has zero effort in it whatsoever. And I would my hope and dream is that to happen so I could use After Effects. Premiere Pro is not that great. A lot of people think that it's great. It's not. But After Effects is fantastic. So I would like to be able to use that in Linux. And also even like a side point of DaVinci Resolve, because that's a great program. And it does support Linux, but it's a specific configuration that it requires to support. So if you have the hardware necessary and you're using a distro that is supported, then you're going to have a fantastic experience with DaVinci Resolve. If you do not have that situation, then it won't work at all.
Well, AMD GPUs specifically don't have really good support in DaVinci Resolve. Not no support, but not very good support at all. And that's true in Windows and Linux, by the way, because I see Windows people complaining about have AMD as well. And you go there, a lot of people into the forums and stuff will be like, hey, you need an NVIDIA GPU. Well, AMD's kind of taken the world by storm, which is something I predicted back before.
Yes, you did. That was correct.
Yeah.
And, I think DaVinci Resolve is an incredible product. Like, I've been playing with it more recently, and it's just blows my soul.
It is very good.
I really hope they bring better AMD support into Linux there, and more people can get their hands on it and play with it. Because what an amazing piece of software there. Very cool stuff.
Yeah, DaVinci Resolve is a fantastic piece of software that I have used, and when I don't have it, I kind of miss it. But there's also tons of extra features. It's not just a video editor. It also has it has a competitive factor of decompositing, but even to like After Effects features. It has many of those, and it has like DaVinci Resolve and DaVinci Refusion. There's tons of great stuff in there. So I want that as well, but the Adobe one would be nice because I do want After Effects. But so Ryan, what is your next hope and dream, and is it even remotely practical?
No, I wanted to go with something so outrageously silly and just out there that
you also wanted to not play the game properly.
It's ridiculous, but it's a dream. It's a dream of mine, and I want to share it with you, the community out there. The GNOME team decides to put its users first and bring back the app indicator tray. I know, stupid, ridiculous, like that would ever happen because it's so useful and needed, but that would be my biggest hope and dream for 2023.
That's a good one. That's a good hope and dream that GNOME would do that.
Here's one other thing, Gnome. You could integrate all the top extensions into the desktop and then use the extension community as kind of your source material for what you're going to add into your desktop later. Because obviously, if it's super popular extension, then it's a feature that they really want in the desktop environment, or enough people want in the desktop environment. And you could use it as a feeding ground for all your new ideas and innovations that go into the desktop. Once you add the app indicator tray back, then you could do the rest of this. And that's my hope and dream for
There's
you.
a lot of projects in software that already do that sort of thing, where they have people make extensions and they make add-ons to, basically find what's the best options and then pull those in. I mean, Android has been doing that for 10 years, where they have all the CyanogenMod, mod, and then they pulled in their stuff, then Lineage OS, and they pulled in their stuff. There's so many examples where that has been a successful route to bring in new features. And I have a prediction based on your hope and dream, Ryan.
Oh, okay. All right.
None of that happens.
That's not fair. You got an extra prediction that is 100% guaranteed to be true.
I think the app indicator is possible. I think it's even likely, but not this coming year.
No, I think they're dying on that hill. They're just like, you know what? This is the hill we've chosen to die on. Why? I don't know.
I'm going to predict that there will be effort done on that particular piece, but it will be like they will be fighting it the entire time. Yeah. They're not going to want to do it, but it's going to happen at some point.
Their own worst enemy over there.
Right. But I also have a hope and dream related to that prediction that, it's kind of like another pivot, that KDE Plasma gets the recognition that it deserves of being the best desktop environment for everyone.
Oh, you mispronounced.
That makes sense.
Xfce. That's so embarrassing, Michael. You want to go back and redo that? Since you're the editor, you could just redub it in.
You're right. I could you're right. I could do that.
It's called Window Maker.
Window Maker.
No, Jill, it's rat poison, of course, Jill.
Yes, it is rat poison all the way.
Of course. All
right, Jill, what's your last dream and wish for 2023? It's going to be a good year if all this stuff comes true. It's going to be a darn good year.
Yeah, awesome
Fingers crossed, people.
Yes. All right.
So a good, universal, and fast software store for all distributions.
Very important to have that in there. I like it.
Yes. And, this would obviously help unify software installation across all Linux distributions and make it easier for all the floods of new users we're having come in from the likes of the Steam Deck to Linux, no matter what distro they are using.
I love that, Jill, because you know what's universally true about app stores? No matter what distro you're a supporter of, they're all broken. So if they would come together and work on one universal one, we might actually have a working software store, which would be fascinating.
I think it's a great. I mean, that hope and dream is a fantastic one. I will also. I just wanted to point out that finally Jill made one that isn't going to happen for sure. This is a maybe, probably not, but at least she didn't. She decided to play the game a little bit looser this time.
Yeah,
I did.
She wanted to give us a little bit of a shot.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Jill.
Good sportsmanship there, Jill. Well, I have one more hope and dream for 2023, and that is that people move to the best password manager out there on the planet.
Perfect.
And that, of course, is Bitwarden. And this is really important because there's been a lot of data breaches in the news recently, like a lot. They have to deal with password managers specifically, not Bitwarden, of course, that aren't using complete end-to-end encryption, what we call zero knowledge end-to-end encryption. Zero knowledge end-to-end encryption, meaning nobody else has any access to your data or keys or anything like that. And the entirety of Bitwarden's vaults are zero knowledge end-to-end encrypted. The entirety of it, keeping its users and their data safe. And I've got really good news, Michael, because this episode just happens to be brought to you by Bitwarden.
That is crazy.
It was a prediction, and then it came true because they're the sponsor of the show.
Yeah, well done on that prediction there, Ryan.
Thank you so much. If you head to bitwarden.com/TUX, that's /Tux, you can get started for absolutely free. Bitwarden's a password manager and software that allows you to have peace of mind knowing your online accounts are truly With zero-knowledge encryption, safe and secure, Bitwarden provides you the tools to store all your passwords in a secured vault, auto-generate those passwords and usernames. Because if a hacker gets your username, they got half your credentials to get in. So you can rotate those as well using Bitwarden to automatically fill those into forms so you don't have to. More convenient for you, more safe for you. You can access your data on all kinds of devices, web browsers, mobile apps, desktop applications, even the command line that Michael clearly doesn't use because he doesn't see any advertisements there. But if you are like me and you use the command line, then you can use Bitwarden there as well. So head to bitwarden.com/tux to get started for free. But they also have a $10 premium account, which I support them. That's $10 per year, by the way. It's not another monthly thing and you got to pay per month. It's just $10 per year. You support an amazing company that does so many amazing things, third-party audits, all of that cool stuff, plus a gigabyte of encrypted file storage, two-step login with YubiKey, U2F Duo, Vault Health Reports, Bitwarden Authenticator, priority customer support, all that for $10 per year. That's amazing. Go to bitwarden.com/tux and get started. And thanks to Bitwarden for sponsoring this episode of Destination Linux.
Xfce 4.18 has been released. And because Ryan had to do a prediction based on AI and using ChatGPT, we decided that we're going to have the ChatGPT give the introduction of what Xfce 4.18 is about. So It says, and I quote, Xfce 4.18 includes a number of improvements and new features, such as support for high-resolution displays, improved support for GTK 3.24, and improved support for Wayland. Overall, Xfce 4.18 is a solid and reliable desktop environment that offers a good balance between functionality and performance.
Good job, bot. I couldn't have said it better myself. It understands Xfce perfectly. See? It's Skynet coming alive.
It is impressive how well it did that. So I will give it some credit there.
And it was specific to 4.18. Let's talk about some of those amazing improvements, Michael. Out of that list, what was one of your favorite improvements for the desktop environment you don't use?
Well, I mean, I'm glad that they are adding high resolution support because that's a very important thing for me. And also, Wayland support is nice. There are other DEs that are working on it as well. That's the only thing I wish that the Wayland team could make it where they work on each DE's, helping the other ones. But there is a little bit of delay depending on what DE you want to use. So, but I am really happy to see that more and more Wayland support is being added. And I think they made a lot of improvements to Thunar. And I'm really happy about that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that people have been wanting Thunar to have as features, and they have basically released most, if not all, of the features that people have been begging for. So that's awesome.
Yeah. For me, with Thunar, my favorite thing has been a new bookmark menu in the sidebar. Woohoo! Finally, Xfce. They have a bookmark menu.
Also, the preview for the images built into the sidebar.
Preview, and you can preview them big or small, and two different sides of the file manager, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And my other favorite feature is something that has been an annoyance of mine for a long time that they fix. So you can now change the font style and size in the Xfce clock applet. Oh, something so small, but I've been wanting that for years.
It's very important, yeah.
Because, for me, what would happen is the font is always too small, and I can't read it. It's really awesome.
You want to know something really interesting? When I was brand new into Linux, and I was kind of picking which desktop environment I really was going to stick with and I love, and you all know Xfce was my first love. One of the things that stood out to me about Xfce that I really liked was the fact that I could right-click the clock to get to its settings.
Yeah. Yes.
That sounds like so simple and basic, but if you go into GNOME, for instance, right now, and you right-click on the clock, it does nothing. You have to go into a separate settings and then find the time and then go in there and change it from 24 to 12 or whatever you want. Whereas in Xfce, I just right-clicked it on the panel. Settings came up. I changed said settings. Now I'm done. This is how clocks should work, people.
Yeah.
See, we're learning so much about Ryan. He always talks about how he leaves everything default, and now we're realizing he changes the way the clock shows the format. I mean, come on. Come on, Ryan.
I'm passionate about is that clock.
The redemption desktop for the win, Ryan. Xfce is one of my faves, too. I'm on it. I'm on it right now because I figured we were talking about 4.18.
Jill,
so
I love that you mentioned that because earlier when we were recording before the show started, I delayed the show from starting.
A lot.
I could not get certain things like with audio and stuff working correctly. And that's because, and I'm bringing this back for this year, 2023, I switched to the desktop environment 10 minutes before we were due to start the show. And that caused all of the delay there. We called this extreme distro hopping. If you are a long-term listener of Destination Linux, I'd like you to know that I brought it back for you all to close out the year properly there. An extreme desktop environment hopped. I am in Xfce 4.18 right now.
Woohoo.
And let me tell you something, Michael. It is beautiful.
I'm glad that you are appreciating the new version of Xfce 4.18. Yeah. That's great. I'm also glad that you've decided to switch back to your once beloved Xfce. That's great. I'm not super happy that it was 10 minutes before the show was supposed to be recorded, because we're on a schedule here, Ryan.
Ryan, your technical producer, is not very happy right now.
So in the future, let's at
that
least
was a throwback,
15.
Michael. Like I brought it back.
Yeah. You could have said that you did that and not actually did that.
Yeah.
But I respect that I respect that you went for the committed role of saying I'm going to do it, but I'm going to have to. If I'm going to say it, I'm going to do it for sure.
Yep.
That's good. But again, not great for schedules.
People send your emails in, tell me how much you love me for messing things up by doing that. You send that in the TuxDigital.com
or how much you're disappointed with him and his inability to do things in proper preparation.
Lame. You got to live on the edge, baby, just like an art user. Jill, tell us about what's going on in the gaming world.
Something awesome this season. So this year we've had, some amazing gaming picks here on Destination Linux. And now you can pick some of those wonderful games up in the Steam Winter Sale. Woohoo! So now is your time actually to rack up on all the games you've been keeping in your cart or your wish list. I have several hundred in my wish list, but hesitate to hit that buy button on.
Yep. I do that a lot. I add things to my cart, then and then add it back. And Yeah, it happens.
It started in December 22nd. To January 5th. You can put those gift cards to good use that you got for Christmas. And I personally gave some Steam gift cards out like we had suggested a few weeks ago.
Nice.
So I gave some to my family and they're taking advantage of the Steam Winter Sale.
That's awesome. And when this show comes out, there'll still be a few more days. If you download the episode right when it releases, you have a few days. If you wait, then you now know that you should never wait to download this podcast. As soon as it is available, you should get it immediately.
Yes.
Now, if you are one of those few people who wait to download it, now put it as your New Year's resolution that you're going to be downloading this episode for every show that we release. Also, every episode of every show on the network as soon as they're available. I think that you will enjoy the value that you get from that New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
Very important.
Very well said, Michael.
It's not a shameless plug at all. It's just...
So yeah, in the Steam Winter Sale, you can pick up some great games, not the least of which is Valheim, Total War Warhammer, Civilization 6 is 90% off.
That's crazy.
That's pretty awesome. And Stellaris is 75% off.
Also, Stray is very cool.
It's one of my favorites.
It's like you play as a cat that roams the streets.
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting.
Cat.
But there's a lot of other games to check out on the Steam.
There are.
We can't list them all because there's thousands of them.
There's thousands of them. And we all can't forget the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Edition is 40% off. That's a game me, Michael, and Ryan just love and reviewed.
I've never played that game. I have no idea.
Steam Winter Sales. I love it. My wallet doesn't.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, the Steam Winter Sale is the best and worst thing that Steam does.
Yeah, Michael never played the Stanley Parable.
Well, this is also the person who never saw Lord of the Rings and is not a true geek and all that stuff. I talk about it. It really upsets me when I think about it. Yeah.
I've also never played Half-Life.
This year I'm going to pick better friends. All right, so...
That's your New Year's resolution?
Yeah.
I like it.
So, Software Spotlight. By the way, I always tell Michael that every time I call him that he should pick better friends when he answers, and so it's fun to throw it back.
That's why I stopped answering recently.
It's your New Year's resolution too?
Yeah, that's my New Year's resolution, yeah.
Nice. All right, so our Software Spotlight is ChatGPT. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but
weird.
tell you
How did that
something
happen?
a little bit deeper here. We're going to divulge some more information about this cool tool because we mentioned the AI and automation that you can use yourself now. This is open and available to everybody. You head to the website, create your login, and then you can start getting concerned along with everybody else how far along AI has come and the fact that your job will soon be replaced from a robot, which is all exciting and fun thing to do.
Super exciting.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the things, though, really fun to do.
Where are you
with
going
tool,
with this?
I was working with some Python code recently, and I was getting this error message that I couldn't overcome. I had tried several different options. It was giving me a very generic, unusual error message. And so I thought, I'll just throw this in ChatGPT and say, hey, can you fix my code? And I threw it into ChatGPT with, hey, can you fix my code? And guess what? It goes through, takes my code, fixes where I had my error, gives me the code back, tells me how I made the error and what mistakes I was making that caused it, which is, again, further proof of why this is better than a browser.
Okay,
because in a browser,
that's amazing.
I can actually go there, right, and see that, post something on a forum and someone will say, hey, change this or whatnot, but I don't necessarily know what happened or what was wrong with it, whereas this tells me specifically what area my code was broken and how other ways I can do it. And then I told it to optimize my code. So it fixed my code exactly as it was, but then I told it to optimize it, and it started to put procedures and things to make it even faster to execute quicker, but still perform the same function at the end of the day. Wow. And then I asked it, hey, can you add this additional functionality into the code? And it did that as well. It is fascinating to play with. So ChatGPT, absolutely amazing and fun to get in there and just see what this thing can do. Some of the stuff has locks on it. They don't want you trying to create a negative AI like Skynet out there. And so it definitely doesn't do character assassination and other things like other people try to do with AI bots. But so you'll see some limitations there. Those are purposeful limitations, which are good. I agree. But when it gets to asking it questions about things going on or code and other stuff, it's just your mind's gonna be blown. So check it out.
That's very awesome. And I also appreciate the fact that you can now ask this chatbot things instead of me, and then I don't have to answer the phone call anymore.
See?
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, Ryan.
Perfect.
Speaking of which, we need to optimize with ChatGPT the Michael AI that you wrote.
I'm going to do that right after the show, but it may crash it because it's like it may you have my source code and then crash.
It's just too much. Yeah, you can't handle it.
Powerful. Too much
code. It's like you just can't. It can't handle the greatness that is the Michael AI.
That's true.
Yeah. So earlier in the show, Ryan made a comment about how I'm not a terminal user, and I just wanted to bring up the fact that this tip of the week this week is using the terminal, people. So this is.
You want me to do it since you don't know anything about the terminal? Do you want me to handle this?
No, we're not dying.
No, I'm
everyone.
okay. I'm okay. I can handle. I think I can do it. All
right. Good.
So the terminal is a wonderful, underappreciated form of computing, thanks to all of the pretty buttons and clickableness of modern computing. And once you begin to enjoy the wonders of the terminal, why would you ever want to leave it? Maybe you're thinking, what if I have to look up something on Wikipedia? Well, you're in luck because our tip of the week will help you do just that and have all the wiki resources without having to leave your terminal. You just install Wikit, Wikit, and search Wikipedia articles and get the results right from the comfort of your terminal. When you have that burning question about the origin of open source software or racking your brain to remember Linus Torvalds' birthday, whatever the reason you want to use Wikipedia, you can have it all right there at your fingertips. Sure, you could also just Alt-Tab into your browser. That takes less than a second. And use the shortcut Control-L to activate the address bar and go to Wikipedia just like that. But why would you do that when you have all the answers in your terminal?
Thank you.
I mean, obviously, the other browsers have access to other websites, not just this. But there's things that we're just saying the terminal's good. That's what we're saying.
I love the terminal.
Absolutely.
By the way, I think it is Linus Torvalds' birthday this week. So.
It's the 28th, December 28th.
28th, yeah. So happy birthday.
Yes.
Yay.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Keep those penguins marching, Linus.
And so for events, we have the Creative Freedom Summit. This is a free online event that's all about teaching and promoting open source creative tools. Topics range from learning the ropes, discussing the value of owning your workflow. You can join them. Talks through January 17th through the 19th of 2023, because it's almost the new year. It's going to be everybody know it's almost the new year. It's going to be
the new year is right around the corner.
Right around the corner. And if you want to meet the DL crew, who are we kidding? Of course you want to meet Jill. Maybe not Michael and me, but definitely Jill.
Maybe not Ryan, but both me and Jill for sure.
Definitely not Michael, but Jill. Well, the 20th annual Southern California Linux Expo will be taking place on March 9th through the 12th at the Pasadena Convention Center in Pasadena, California. That's convenient. Come hang out and have the best time of your life.
Woohoo.
That's a big prediction.
That's
there.
convenient that the Pasadena Convention Center is in Pasadena.
It is really convenient of them. Well, sorry we couldn't be with you at the end of this year for this episode live, but we've got to go celebrate because it's New Year's. And we're going to do all kinds of crazy things, and I'm going to go get ChatGPT, give it my predictions, and see if Skynet can make all my predictions.
He's going to give the ChatGPT some champagne to celebrate the New Year's and see what happens.
Yeah, let's see.
And give it some clean Michael AI.
Yes, let's see what happens if it crashes it. So a big thank you to each and every one of you for supporting us by watching or listening to Destination Linux this whole year. However you've done it, we love your faces. And we're here nearly every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Live where you can see our faces. And most appealing is Jill's, but you can see the rest of our faces too at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sundays. Go to tuxdigital.com/live, and everyone is invited to watch the recording of Destination Linux each and every week, and we can't wait to see you in the chat. And if you want to chat after the show, you could just join our Discord.
Well, yeah, join the Discord server, tuxdigital.com/discord. And also, usually we have our patrons with us, but this week we didn't do that because we were doing a pre-recorded episode. So unfortunately, that was not available. But however, if you become a patron, you can watch the unedited version of this show and see the full fantastic outtakes of Ryan messing up repeatedly, which was fantastic. I'm just good job.
Never
Ryan.
happens, folks.
It was so good. I'm gonna put in like some like specials, just highlights.
Special effects.
Yeah, special effects. Just point out the highlights of like this is where Ryan messed up.
Well, you could do that with the Adobe After Effects that you use in your Windows machine.
How dare you? I don't use After Effects. That's what I'm saying. I want to use it. Anyway, you can get unedited versions of the show. You can also hang out with us every week, well, almost every week in the patron-only post show, which happens right after the show when it's live. And you can join us in the 60,000 square foot virtual stadium and hang out every week by becoming a patron, going to tuxdigital.com/contribute to sign up. And you get a bunch of other perks. It's not just DL. You also become a patron of the entire network and get tons of perks for all of the shows. And also you can go to tuxdigital.com/store right now to pick up some awesome merch. We have t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, stickers, coasters, all sorts of great stuff. There's just tons of everything. Like Ryan is pointing out the Linux 91 hat. Jill is showing the Linux is Everywhere mug and the 33% more Jill shirt. So much great stuff. Go to tuxdigital.com/store.
And make sure to check out all the amazing shows here on Tux Digital. We have the Pseudo Show, This Week in Linux, the DOS Geek Channel, Linux Out Loud, Hardware Addicts, GameSphere, and our virtual Linux user group, Linux Saloon. And make sure to check out all the amazing videos that Matt is doing for GameSphere. He just did an unboxing of the Atari VCS, which I just got in the mail too.
Wow.
Of course you did, Jill.
Of course you did. Of course you have an Atari VCS. We talked about that on the show, in fact. I remember talking about that coming out. Interesting.
Yeah. So everyone head to tuxdigital.com and subscribe to all our many great shows. And don't forget to leave a rating on your favorite app, a thumbs up, so others can discover the power of open source and keep those penguins marching in the full Monty of Linux and open source awesome sauce.
Everybody, have a great week. Have a great rest of the year. I love that. We won't see you till next year.
I think we're going to release it on first.
So. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year. And remember that the journey itself is just as important as the destination. Thanks, everyone.
See you next week.
2023!
Wow.